Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. Ladies and gentlemen, on my channel, I'm always telling you guys, live an active lifestyle, make smart nutritional choices, move more and sit less, right? Fight against that laziness. It's not about what you look like in the mirror, but about how you feel. It's not about perfection, but about consistency. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. And I've talked to you guys many times about my resistance band, right? About resistance bands. I've talked about resistance bands on this channel. Some of you guys have asked me in the past about resistance bands. You know, do they work? Do I use them? You know, how do I use it? You know, things of that nature. You know, how do I choose a resistance band? So I'm here to show you guys the resistance band that I use. I have just this one simple resistance band. And I've had this, well, this is like my second one. I've went through two of them now. I've had this one not that long, but the other one I had previously for now 3 or 4 years it lasted before it ended up breaking. And I just picked up this one, I don't know, about a year or so ago. And, you know, one of my favorite things to do with the resistance band is called the X. I call it the resistance band X, where you make an X with the resistance band. And to me, it helps with your shoulder mobility, your shoulder strength, right? Your range of motion, all these kinds of things. Because if we think about the shoulder joint, it's a very shallow joint. I know a lot of people out there have a shoulder pain. Maybe they've dislocated their shoulder, they've torn their rotator cuff, or something like that. My father-in-law has had both of his shoulders operated on to the point where he can't even raise his arm above his head. There's a lot of people out there like that. Now, once again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. If you have some kind of shoulder issue or shoulder pain, I'm not here to tell you, oh, don't worry about it. Do this and you'll be fine. That's not the case or anything like that. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I'm telling you guys or showing you guys an exercise that I use with I do with the resistance band that has kept my shoulders very flexible and injury-free. Luckily, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, you never know that your injury could be around the corner. So if we think about what I do, is I have a simple black resistance band, just a single loop. It's just a big loop, guys. That's all it is, like a big rubber band, right? You guys have probably seen resistance bands like this. There are many different kinds of resistance bands, right? There are those thicker ones that are a little bit shorter that you see people will put around like their waist, and they'll do, side shuffles and things like that to help with their hips and all that kind of stuff. You guys have seen resistance band with handles on them, right? They have handles attached to them, where you can maybe do like curls or, something like that. They have handles attached. This is a simple band, nothing special on it, just a simple band. I got it on Amazon. I think it was like, I don't even know, 20 bucks maybe or something like that. And there's different kinds of, strengths, right? Or resistances, right? This one is, I don't know, 80 pounds or something like that. Maybe the resistance is, whatever the case may be. You start with whatever you want to start with. Don't go anything too crazy. You can't start with anything too tight, too hard if you've never done this before. So start with something that's a little bit light, something that's has a little bit of stretch to it. And what you want to try to do is what I do is I step inside the band like this, right? I know you guys probably can't see my feet that good there, but I'm stepping in the band, right? This is the top of the loop here, right? So I'm stepping in the band, right? My feet are shoulder width apart, right? Just a basic normal stance. And what you want to try to do is hold on to the other end of the band, your hands, like I said, right, about shoulder width, hip width, and really all you want to do is you want to raise your arms above your head, but you're making like an X. So you're going to hold your hands out like so. So I'm just going to bring my arms straight up, just like this. Straight up, and see how I'm making it almost like an X now? And then you're going to come straight down. You see, I'm not bending my arms to lift it up. I'm keeping everything straight, and I'm just using my shoulders here. That's it all I'm doing. Straight up in an X, and then I'm going to come right down, right? And then right back up into the next rep, and then come right back down. And then I'm going to come back up into the next one, and then I'm going to come back down. See, I'm staying straight. My arms are staying straight. I'm not bending them down or coming up. Excuse me. I'm not using any body English. You don't see me, doing anything crazy like this. It's literally up and then down. A nice controlled motion. That's how you want to think about this. I usually do about 7 reps. So 1, down. 2, right? Do about 7. Then I take a little break. And then I'll do 7 more, 7 again. So I usually do about 3 to 5 sets, depending, on how I'm feeling that day or, things of that nature. But usually about 3 sets, about 7 to 10 reps of that. Sometimes I do a little bit less, depending. Like I said, if you have a band like this at home, it might be too stiff for you to do that. That's a pretty far stretch when we're talking about these bands. So if you have a band that's really heavy or that's got a lot of resistance on, you're not going to be able to do that, right? Unless you're really strong, stronger than I am. So try to find a band that has some flexibility to it that you can stretch. Remember, we want to work on our mobility, our stretching, and our flexibility in our shoulders. So to the point where, I remember I was doing this, and one of my friends, one of my mentors, he showed me this exercise when I was training with him one day. And, I always had like these stiff shoulders where I couldn't like really touch my fingers in the back here. And now I can. Now I can grab and touch my fingers back there. And I'm still kind of tight. But I was able to do these things, right? Because of the exercise, the mobility with this band. Stretching it out, right? Also, another thing you can do to warm up your shoulders that I normally will do before I even go into that. Just like a little shoulder routine that I do. And you can do this every day, ladies and gentlemen, every day. So I'll grab the band like this towards the end of it. I know you guys can't really see my hands there, but I'll just hold it above my head and then just do these circles. I just make circles like this above my head. Just nice circles, right? Forward, I'll do 20, shake it out, and then I'll go 20 backwards circles. I'll do just like that, right? And that'll get your shoulders all nice and warmed up in there, man, nice and ready to go. And then you can go into those X's. So, do resistance bands work? Absolutely. Are they useful? Absolutely. Do I use them? Yes, I do. Are they expensive? No, they're not. Do you need to get them? No, you don't need to get a resistance band, but they do work. If you have one, there are different things you can do with them. People use resistance bands to help them with their pull-ups, with body weight exercises. You could use resistance bands to make things challenging, more difficult for you, right? So you could do push-ups with resistance bands where you take the band, you'll put it around your back like this, and then you'll do push-ups with the resistance band like that around your back. There's different ways you can do this. You can do squats with the resistance band, right? Once again, you can step into the band. You'll step into the loop, right? And you can hold it in a front rack position, and you can go down into a squat and then step up into a squat. There's different ways that you can do this, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, you can do overhead press like this. This is an overhead press, right? Right here, elbows out, front rack position, boom, straight up, head through the hole, back down to starting position, right? Boom, straight up. There's different ways you can do this, ladies and gentlemen. So, to try doing the X. To me, it's a great exercise. It'll really get your delts, man, nice. Like I said, get that mobility in there and really get that strength developing in those delts, man. So think about using the resistance bands.